You're not undisciplined. You're just addicted to quick rewards that destroy self-discipline. You call yourself lazy. You punish yourself for not being consistent, for not doing what you said you would. But what if the truth is far darker and not your fault? What if you were never the problem, only the environment designed to keep you comfortable, distracted, and dependent? You live in a world built to steal your attention. Every sound, every notification, every flicker of your screen is engineered to reward you instantly. It gives you the illusion of progress without the discomfort of growth. It makes you feel busy while keeping you empty. You open your phone for a second and lose an hour, chasing fragments of dopamine that fade before they even register. And then you look at yourself, disappointed, ashamed, and call it laziness. But it's not laziness, it's programming. You were born with a mind that rewards survival, the easiest path, the fastest pleasure, the least resistance. The modern world turned that mechanism against you. You are surrounded by digital comfort, endless scrolling, constant validation, quick hits of pleasure that promise satisfaction but leave you hollow. Each one feels harmless, but together they form a cage so subtle that you forget you're inside it. Think about how many times you've promised yourself change, to start the workout, to stay focused, to finish that project, and then watched your willpower dissolve after a few minutes of effort. You believe you're weak, but weakness is not the absence of discipline, it's the overexposure to temptation. You're trying to fight an army with bare hands. Every time you scroll for just a second, your brain learns that comfort is the safest choice. Every time you avoid the hard thing, your mind reinforces that ease is better than effort. Slowly, your reward system forgets how to feel pleasure from progress and starts craving the quick, empty highs that cost you your focus, your momentum, and your peace. You're not undisciplined, you're overstimulated, you're chasing a kind of pleasure that keeps you tired. But what if you've been chasing the wrong rewards all along? What if the problem isn't your lack of discipline, but the constant flood of distractions that made you forget what real effort feels like? Because deep down, you still know what it feels like to earn something real. You've felt that fire before. The satisfaction that comes not from getting, but from becoming. It's buried under noise, but it's not gone. It's waiting for you to reclaim it. The trap: how quick rewards hijack the mind. Your brain was built to chase survival, not fulfillment. In ancient times, that meant finding food, warmth, or safety. Today, it means chasing notifications, comfort, and approval. The same neurological system that once kept you alive now keeps you distracted. Every app, every advertisement, every piece of content is a small lever designed to pull your attention and feed it back as dopamine. That's not by accident, it's architecture. Each small reward, the like, the click, the sugar, the comfort, delivers a promise. This will make you feel better. And for a second, it does. But dopamine doesn't give you happiness. It only gives you anticipation. The moment passes, the reward fades, and your brain starts searching for the next hit. You become trapped in a loop. The more you indulge, the less you feel. The less you feel, the more you indulge. Discipline doesn't die overnight. It erodes, one small compromise at a time. One more video before bed. One more scroll before you start. One more excuse dressed as self-care. You call it rest, but it's actually resistance. Resistance to discomfort, resistance to stillness, resistance to growth. You crave stimulation so often that silence feels unbearable and effort feels unnatural. You can't sit with boredom anymore because boredom no longer feels neutral. It feels like pain. That's how the trap works. Quick rewards numb the discomfort that growth requires. They anesthetize your drive, slowly teaching your mind that escape is safer than effort. Every time you avoid the difficult thing, you're not just losing time. You're teaching your brain that quitting brings relief, That's why it becomes harder each time to start again. You've conditioned yourself to equate effort with pain and distraction, with comfort. And the worst part? The more comfort you chase, the more restless you become. Comfort doesn't satisfy. It weakens. It makes your tolerance for effort lower and your hunger for stimulation stronger. You start needing more just to feel the same. You scroll longer, eat more, sleep later, work less, until the smallest task feels like a mountain. But here's the paradox. The more you chase ease, the harder life becomes. The more you chase effort, the easier life gets. Because discipline isn't about suffering. It's about building strength in a world that constantly trains you to stay weak. The world won't stop offering shortcuts, but the moment you stop taking them, something inside you begins to wake up. A clarity, a quiet hunger for meaning, a resistance that feels uncomfortable but alive. The lie. Why motivation keeps failing you. You've been taught to wait for motivation, to move when you feel ready, to act when the spark appears. But motivation is a liar. It seduces you with energy and abandons you when things get hard. It whispers that you'll start tomorrow, that you'll feel different later, that discipline is something that happens when inspiration returns. That belief is what keeps millions trapped, waiting for a feeling that never lasts. The truth is that motivation was never meant to carry you. It's a spark, not fuel. It comes from dopamine, a chemical that thrives on novelty, not consistency. When you overstimulate it with constant pleasure, it burns out fast. The same system that gives you excitement to start something new also kills your drive when the work feels repetitive, slow, or uncomfortable. And so you begin to chase beginnings, new goals, new habits, new versions of yourself, but never stay long enough to see the results. You tell yourself you lack focus, but what you truly lack is recovery from overstimulation. Your mind is addicted to highs, not effort. You've trained it to chase instant satisfaction instead of long-term growth. That's why you scroll when you're tired. That's why you open your phone before thinking. You're not lazy. You're trying to feel alive again in the quickest way possible. But here's what no one tells you. Motivation doesn't create action. Action creates motivation. Every time you move before you feel ready, you generate momentum. Every time you keep going after the spark fades, your brain starts to trust you again. It begins to associate effort with reward, not just pleasure with reward. That's when discipline starts to grow. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer distractions. You need to stop outsourcing your energy to screens, noise, and validation. The mind needs silence to rebuild strength. It needs stillness to remember what matters. Discipline grows in silence, not stimulation. Think about it. The same energy you use to scroll endlessly could be building something meaningful. The same persistence you give to your habits of distraction could be feeding your goals. You already have discipline. It's just been hijacked. Every habit you repeat with consistency, good or bad, is proof that you are disciplined. You just need to redirect that energy. It's not weakness, it's wiring. But wiring can be changed. The moment you stop waiting for the perfect feeling and start acting despite it, you begin to reprogram your brain. You stop living for dopamine hits and start building real momentum. And that's when everything begins to shift. When you stop asking, how can I feel motivated? And start asking, what kind of person do I want to become, even when I don't feel like it? The awakening, how to reclaim your reward system. The first step to breaking free is not willpower. It's awareness. You can't fight what you can't see, and you've been blindfolded by noise for too long. You wake up, reach for your phone, and before your feet touch the floor, your brain has already received more dopamine than your ancestors got in an entire day. You start the morning overstimulated, then wonder why focus feels impossible. You've been taught to escape discomfort, but real growth begins when you sit inside it long enough to understand it. The truth is that your brain is not your enemy. It's only confused. It learned that quick rewards equal safety, that effort equals threat. You can retrain it. You can teach it to crave progress again. This is where discipline becomes more than a word. It becomes biology. Start small. Replace one instant hit with one intentional action. Instead of opening your phone when you're bored, open your breath. Instead of chasing distraction, chase completion. Do one thing fully. No split attention, no background noise. When you do that, your brain begins to associate focus with relief, not tension. It starts to rediscover the satisfaction that comes from depth, not dopamine. You must rewire the system, one repetition at a time. This is called delayed reward rewiring. The act of training your mind to find pleasure in the process, not just the outcome. When you lift weights, don't count the reps, feel the resistance. When you study, don't wait for results. Reward yourself for the act of showing up. Every time you choose presence over distraction, you strengthen a neural pathway that leads you closer to mastery. And yes, it will feel strange at first. Withdrawal always does. When you reduce the constant hits of stimulation, social media, sugar, noise, your mind will panic. It will reach for comfort, for noise, for escape. But this discomfort is not a sign of failure. It's the sound of healing. It means your brain is recalibrating. You're not losing something, you're regaining control. The goal isn't to quit pleasure, it's to remember what real pleasure feels like. The quiet satisfaction of progress, the peace that follows effort, the pride that comes when no one is watching. Because true pleasure doesn't numb you, it builds you. And when you start to feel that again, the game changes. You stop chasing motivation and start building identity. You stop acting based on feelings and start acting based on who you're becoming. That's the moment the cycle begins to break. That's the awakening. The shift, becoming the disciplined version of yourself. This is where the real transformation begins. Not in theory, but in practice. Discipline isn't about punishing yourself or denying comfort. It's about remembering who you promised yourself you'd become, and keeping that promise even when no one is watching. It's about recognizing that the life you want will only belong to the version of you who earns it daily, through focus, repetition, and integrity. There are two versions of you living inside the same body. One seeks comfort, the other seeks purpose. One avoids pain, the other uses it as fuel. Every decision you make is a vote for one of them. The problem is that the comfortable self always speaks first, whispering reasons, excuses, negotiations. It tells you to rest when you're capable, to wait when you could begin, to seek balance when what you really need is momentum. It doesn't want you to fail. It just doesn't want you to grow. But the disciplined version of you, it's quiet. It doesn't argue, it just moves, it acts without waiting to feel ready. It knows that discipline isn't a burst of motivation, it's a pattern of small victories that build strength over time. Every moment you resist the urge to take the easy path, you feed that version, and over time it becomes your default setting, not a battle, but a way of being. The shift happens the day you stop identifying with your impulses and start identifying with your standards. The moment you decide that how you feel no longer determines what you do. Because the truth is, no one feels like doing the hard thing. The difference is that disciplined people do it anyway, and that's what makes them free. Freedom doesn't come from comfort, it comes from control. The control to say no when the world tempts you to scroll, delay, indulge, or surrender. The control to say yes to what matters, even when it hurts. That's real strength, and not emotionless perfection, but emotional mastery. When you begin living like this, something shifts internally. You stop chasing meaning and start embodying it. You stop comparing yourself to others, because your competition becomes the version of you who gave in yesterday. You start to understand that the reward isn't at the finish line. It's in the person you become along the way. The strongest people aren't those who resist temptation. They're those who've learned to replace it with meaning. They don't need constant validation because their satisfaction comes from knowing they're living in alignment with who they said they'd be. And once you taste that alignment, nothing else feels as good. This is not just discipline. It's self-respect in motion. Rebuild your reward system. Rebuild your life. You were never undisciplined. You were distracted, pulled in 1,000 directions, rewarded for everything that weakens you and punished for everything that could make you strong. But now you see it. You've peeled back the illusion. You understand that what you thought was a lack of control was just misplaced attention. And that realization alone is power, because awareness breaks the spell. The moment you recognize how your brain has been conditioned to crave the quick and avoid the meaningful, you reclaim the ability to choose differently. You stop moving through life on autopilot. You begin to pause before reacting. You start to notice the moment between impulse and decision, and in that space you find freedom. Rebuilding your reward system isn't about becoming a machine. It's about coming back to yourself. The part that values depth over distraction, peace over stimulation, purpose over comfort. It's about redefining pleasure itself. From now on, pleasure isn't the scroll, the snack, or the quick escape. Pleasure is mastery. It's the quiet satisfaction of following through, the deep breath after completing what you once avoided, the steady confidence that builds every time you keep your word to yourself. Start small. Don't wait for the perfect day or the perfect plan. Choose one habit to reclaim, something simple but intentional. Read a page instead of scrolling. Take a walk instead of reaching for your phone. Delay one small reward and observe the discomfort without running from it. Each time you do, you're reprogramming your brain, teaching it that patience brings clarity and clarity brings peace. It won't happen overnight, but every small act of resistance is a vote for a stronger self. Every moment you choose effort over ease, you remind your brain that you are the one in control. And soon what once felt like discipline will start to feel like freedom, because you'll no longer be chasing motivation, you'll be guided by purpose. You're not rebuilding habits, you're rebuilding identity. You're stepping into the version of yourself your future is waiting for. Calm, focused, relentless, free. So start now. Reclaim one moment today. Rewire one impulse. Because the moment you stop chasing quick rewards, you start becoming unstoppable. Subscribe to stay grounded in stoic wisdom for the modern world, where every loss hides a lesson and every ending begins your rebirth.